It's time for Two Guys and a Goalie with Dustin Nielsen, Matt Cassian, and the goalie, Joaquin Gate.
Happy Thursday, everybody, and happy game day. Oilers and Penguins tonight. We'll certainly get into that as we work our way through another episode of Two Guys and a Goalie, part of the Nielsen Media Coolbet Network, brought to you by our partners at Coolbet. Sign up for an account today if you want to bet the Oilers and Penguins tonight. The total set at 7 goals tonight. People are expecting a high-scoring game between these two clubs, and use the code 2GUYS, number 2 in the word guys, when you do sign up. Who's moving their mic around?
Oh, sorry, that's me. That's full. That's
mute that shit, Gager.
Sorry.
Amateur.
288 episodes in. Still can't figure it out.
Like, seriously.
Well,
Are you doing the show from an igloo today or what? What's going on?
I had to take my daughter to dance at noon. So, it's
Where does she dance? Outside?
Oh, no, just getting into the cold car. And I had to race back, and, the heat's just started getting warm. And then I'll only have it on for a few minutes, Dusty. Just let me warm up here.
Listen, if you're not going to wear the leather jacket on Sportsnet, can you wear this jacket on Sportsnet?
Yeah, no, there's been quite a lot of movement, let's say, on the Sportsnet panel over the last few days.
I was just going to say, Gager, when you hear the term, I respectfully disagree, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
I think everyone knows what comes to my mind. I was like, oh my God, that was something else. That was, but I blame Gene, actually.
It is Gene's fault. It's always Gene's fault.
Totally Gene's fault, because I had my little rebuttal, but then he went back to Stoff.
Yeah.
And then Gene smelt TV gold right then. And we got into it. But it's all water under a bridge. We're best friends again, Dusty. We've kissed and made up.
Yeah, I kiss and make up with Stoff like every 2 to 3 months. There's something where it's like, talk, sorry, Stoff, golden bears, and everything's good, right? Like that's kind of how you get around that. Well, I mean, but the discussion was an interesting one that you guys were having about players going through the motions, waiting for something to happen prior to deadline. Cass, you were on my show this week, obviously on pre and post game. Like, is this a thing? Like, and with this team, should it be a thing, right? Like, no,
not with this team. I highly disagree that it's with this team. Now, some teams, yes, teams that are big sellers that are not going to make the playoffs, that are going to move everyone out, like guys are going to be moving with certainty. Those teams, it's a completely different story where players might just be kind of in that going through the motion stage, especially the ones maybe expecting to be moved. Like, we can anticipate for those guys that may be the case, but not for the Edmonton Oilers. Like, what are you waiting for? And even more to that, just look at the way that they have played. Like even if there was that expectation, they would not have played the New York Rangers and the Colorado Avalanche the way they did. You don't jump out all over teams, play really well to start a game, get up a whole bunch of goals, and then all of a sudden shut your brains off because now in the middle of your game, like, oh, we're up 3 goals. I might be traded after this game. Like, that's not the case at all. Now, has it affected, or does it affect maybe 1 or 2 of the individuals inside the locker room? For sure. Like, you want to tell me Puljujarvi's not affected by all this? He's affected by it. But the team as the whole, no, not a chance. They're not sitting and waiting for something to happen. I highly disagree with that thought. Now,
respectively, though?
Respectively disagree. Like, if someone takes that opinion, fine, sure. You can be wrong. It's okay that you're wrong, and it's okay that you think that you're wrong, that you're right, but you're wrong. That's not what's happening. But I respect your thought on that, because that's something we can totally disagree on, and it's totally fine.
Yeah, which is totally fine. I think the main point here is it's not like they've been losing games 5-0, 5-1, the effort shit. Like, they've come out, they've played well, they've played better than teams for good stretch in these games. They just haven't been able to lock it down.
They're shooting themselves in the foot with brain dead errors. Like, and that's not like they're not errors of, will to play. It's just massive brain farts, like, for no reason at all.
Because that just comes from the group within, right? Like, just get it together, essentially, right? Like,
I got to watch what I say because, I mean, I had my daughter's teachers were coming up to her asking her about the relationship between me and Bob.
Is your dad okay?
Yeah, my
what?
daughter came in and asked me,
Yeah.
what happened? Are you fighting with
You know what I
someone?
need to do is I need to go back because I still have it. Like I keep the games recorded and for a little while. So if I need to go back and whatever and watch them, and so I have it recorded, and I almost want to go back and like clip a couple of those clips. I want to look for facial expressions, and I want to make some GIFs or some memes because that
Yes.
would be
The
fantastic.
gifts and the memes. I like that. That's really good. I had somebody, what did I say? I like disagreed with kind of what Cass just said. Somebody texted in yesterday. I said, Dusty, why do you hate Stoff? I'm like, well, because you have a different opinion than somebody? Like, come on. But Gager, let's just get it out there. Things are fine with you and Stoff.
Oh yeah, I think they're more than fine actually. But no, I love stuff because you don't. It would be better TV to see how passionate he is before we go live, right? He
comes over it like in a fuss, right? If they're not playing well, yeah.
It is unbelievable. I have to calm myself down so much because
He cares. He
I'm
cares a
shocked.
lot.
He cares.
He cares a lot.
So everything out of his mouth comes from the greatest place, and that's the uber fan of the Edmonton Oilers.
He loves the team and loves the organization and wants to see him do well. Yeah.
But I said I don't think that I've never been on a team that has said, "Oh my gosh, we need our team to go get someone." The only time you might say that is if you were the Chicago Blackhawks, right? Vancouver Canucks. Like, we need something to happen here. That's the only time. And even then, you look inward to try to make things better for yourself. But these road trips before the trade deadline are some of the funniest moments ever because you probably see like Connor and Leon and Campbell and Skinner and Nuge. Well, you know what? Maybe not Nuge. I don't know. I was talking to some people. He might be the biggest piece in an Oilers as trade bait. I was thinking.
No.
You're kidding, right?
I respectfully disagree.
Yeah.
Who's got more value on the Oilers that you could part with and substitute?
You're trading young guys.
Gager, I'm going to mute you. I'm going to mute you right now.
Just stop.
I'm just saying he has high trade value. I'm not.
Yeah, but he's not going anywhere. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins is not packing the big suitcase. He's not.
There's a lot of guys on.
He took a sweetheart deal.
There's a lot of guys on this road trip that have extra bags.
Yes,
on this trip.
Not Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. Pugliarvi's got like 8 suitcases.
He's got about 8. Yeah, it's hilarious.
But he's had his bags packed since he came back from Finland, so it doesn't really change anything. Yeah, my God.
But so there's guys with just their shaving kits and guys with half their life with them on this trip, which is quite funny when you see them pull up to the airport.
Yeah,
furniture,
Spencer was the best.
Everything
Spencer was the best with that. He had literally 3 full-size suitcases because he had asked for a trade.
Come
he was
on,
pretty sure he was getting traded. 3 full
suitcases.
Yeah, or actually, you know what? Sorry, that might be a little bit of hyperbole. 2 full-size suitcases and a big Louis Vuitton duffel bag.
Yeah.
So he had his carry-on, and the 2 suitcases went under with the equipment, but it was pretty funny.
Did he get dealt?
Brian
on
Marchman
the trip?
had
No,
that too.
he didn't get dealt on the. No, that was he didn't get dealt till I think it was that summer. I think that summer he got dealt. Yeah.
And it's so
Gage,
funny.
Marchman
These guys.
had it?
Yeah, Marchman he brought his whole life with him. And he was so mad that he didn't get traded because we went on like a week and a half road trip and he was schlepping all this. He looked like a Sherpa going up Everest with all
Somebody trade me, please. Have to haul all that shit back home. Oh, that's tough. All right, guys, where do you come out on the Oilers and Patrick Kane? Because, Carlson thank guys are cools, and then Patrick Kane and Cass from your emotion right now. We'll let you go first on this one.
Okay. I'm starting. This is a bone to pick. I'm getting annoyed with the constant speculation around trading for highly offensive players. I'm annoyed. Like,
wait, are you telling me the Oilers don't need to score more goals, Cass? Is that what you're saying right now?
I know it comes as a shock.
I respectfully agree.
Shock. Yeah, like, come on. Like, Patrick Kane, great player. It's going to be an expensive. It's going to be a rental, and you're going to make the power play even more better. Like, who are you taking off that first power play unit to replace him with?
The Nuge, because you're trading him.
Don't. Just don't. No. Like, get me, if nothing else, and you get a bottom six left-handed defenseman that can give you some consistent minutes and occasionally move up into your top four. Like, I understand not necessarily what you want. You need a top four left-handed defense. Even Dusty, I'm going to call you out on this right now because you were talking about it today in the morning show. And even then I heard, and I wasn't able to listen to the whole thing because I had to do some work. But I was just like, are you guys seriously talking about right-handed trade targets, defensemen? Are you?
Just let me throw this out there.
So I didn't hear the whole discussion. Okay, I'll start with that. But I have a bone to pick with you over even starting it. So let me hear you out, and I'll decide if I still have a bone to pick.
You guys have watched me and Stoff too long.
I was gonna say, I'm gonna pull a Stoff with Gage here, Cass, and go like this.
I need the context. I need the context. Give me the context.
Well, no. So yesterday on the Oil Stream, Tom Gazzola said that he's heard that with the recent play of Bouchard, their focus might flip to a right shot D-man on an expiring contract. So I was just running with what Tommy said yesterday. There's not a lot of those guys. It's Shen, it's Dumba, it's Klingberg. Like, there's not a lot of those guys. So that's where the conversation come from. Do you still hate me, Cass?
No, but okay, I still think that the primary, I never hated you. I just disagreed with you. The primary conversation to me, maybe they've explored it or they've talked about it. And I get that. And Tommy has sources and they're good sources. So if he's hearing that, it's quite possible that they have looked at or are looking at that. Very, very possible. But to me, it's still just your highest priority is that second pairing left D. Has to be your high priority. I get if Evan Bouchard, because he has struggled. I mean, I just like the two moments from Evan Bouchard's last couple of games that define his season and where he's at right now. Number one would be that 3-on-1 where he just missed the puck, like where you're just like, what? Like, oh, that looks so bad. Number one. Number two was the wraparound stuff goal the other day where he just stood on the other side of the net, didn't bend his knees, and basically went like this. I wonder what he's doing over there. It looks like he's trying to. Maybe I should go. No, I think I'm just gonna wait. That was the guy that I was supposed to be. Oh no, but wait. Oh no. Now I'm gonna. Oh, the puck's in the net. Oh, now I'm gonna go over here. Like it was just like the everything that he has struggled with this season was summed up in those two moments where it's just like a complete and utter failure of execution and a complete and utter lack of urgency in certain situations. So I get that you might want to replace him. Sorry, I shouldn't harp too hard on him, but. Still a young guy, still upside, but yeah, I still think you need.
I think that's why it's like they're looking for UFA because then next year it would still be Bouchard and Desharnais and CC and Barry, right? So
which I understand, but what as you said, even the guys you listed, like I mean, if you brought in Dumba, I'd be like, okay,
he's been like healthy scratched recently though, so
yeah, he's struggled, but I know what's there as a player, and if you give him protected minutes, I'd be like, okay. Yeah. I'd be like, okay, I'd get it.
Klingberg hasn't had a great year, so I don't. I mean, to me,
again, like offensive guy.
Yeah, well, yeah, he's just a lesser Erik Karlsson by a significant margin. Yeah. You know, to me, if the Oilers spend any significant assets and it doesn't address a way to cut down on goals or protect leads, it is completely the exact opposite that you should be doing. It doesn't make sense to me why you would do anything but that.
No, and that's where I kind of go Dumba. Okay, again, I know he's struggled. He does have some offensive skills, but he can play defense and he can play defense hard. Like that's where I go, okay, like I kind of get that. But yeah, anything that's just purely offensive, no.
I don't get it. Gager, what do you got here? What do you got?
Yeah, no, that's the most pressing need of the Oilers is to establish someone. And you said take minutes like Shield. I'd like to see the ability to lower Darnell Nurse's minutes. That's
Yep.
what someone that can eat some minutes and provide Nurse with a little less work. That's the key. I think that that as a GM, that's what I would do.
That's why I'm harping on that left D that can play in the top 4. Like, give you that steady minutes. And I know I've said it so many times. People are probably sick of it, and he might not be available. But just as an example, still, I got that Joel Edmondson thing in my mind because I'm just like, that to me is like the perfect fit. Has multi-years left on his deal. Plays steady defensively.
I'm going to step in here and just say Edmondson's back screwed. And 5-on-5 this year, he's been destroyed. So I don't know.
So fair. So fair. So if it's not him, it's not him. But just as let's call it a template for like the type of guy you're looking for.
Yeah.
That's fair. Like the idea of Edmondson is that type of guy. Like St. Louis Blues, Edmondson would be the guy that. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm starting to think. I was thought about this today when I was driving home from work. There might not be one player the Oilers can get that will secure them a Stanley Cup. Think about that for a second. That's
crazy.
That's gonna. It's gonna be tough.
I mean, so much still has to go right, even if you have the right roster.
Exactly. Even if you were to go get Kane or whatever. I mean, every year there's 15 teams buying at the deadline, and one of them ends up winning the Stanley Cup. So yeah, we'll see how that plays out.
Because Makar's hurt. If he doesn't play, like there's a possibility he's out for an extended period of time, and the Avs are good, but in a 7-game series, they are. Well,
the West is open, but the East is so damn good. Like, I'm pretty certain the Stanley Cup is going to be raised by a team in the East this year. But
the only way it wouldn't, guys, is if because the East is so competitive,
beat the hell out of each other. You think?
Yeah. And all the series go to 7 games. And they get banged up so that there's injury and energy issues, that would be a way the West might win if you come in fresher.
Yeah. But I also think like the West, it's going to be tight. They're just not as good as teams as the top end of the East. It's not like anybody's going to cruise through the West either. I don't think. I mean, maybe I'm wrong on this front. So if the Oilers got a bottom 6 forward that is defensively sound and you can confidently play in the third period and some sort of defenseman that can play 19 minutes a night for you defensively. Is that a win at the deadline? Like, do they have to make a huge splash, or is there other ways to win this trade deadline?
I don't think you have to make a huge splash. I mean, I get maybe that you want a depth guy in your top 6, but it's not, or your bottom 6, but I don't know. Like, to me, that's just such a secondary need. I think that the defenseman need is so much bigger. I think if you make your team defense, however you do it, whether it is a forward, although I think that's less effective, whether it is a forward or D-man, if you make your defense better at the deadline, and not just better for a short, like just the next couple months, but better for now and next year at least, I think that's a big win.
Who comes out if it's the D-man?
Fair question. It's Desharnais, isn't it? Because if you're getting a defenseman that can kill those penalties and stuff, I think if it's the left side, is it Broberg? Broberg's been kind of steady, though,
I know. That's what I'm saying. Like, Desharnais.
He's been, Broberg, let me say this. Broberg has been steady in protected, limited situations.
Fair enough.
If we just even look at the last couple of games, the second that there's more onus on Broberg and Bouchard to play more minutes and to play against some slightly tougher competition, when Desharnais wasn't in the lineup, he doesn't do nearly as well. So, long term, I'm a fan of Broberg. I think, and he's improved a lot this year, but to me, he's still the guy that comes out. Like, do you want a Broberg giving you 20 minutes a night right now? Or would you feel more confident with a guy that can play 20 minutes, that has veteran experience and is a shutdown guy? To me, that's where I lean. And then even from that's most likely what I'd do. And Desharnais, you cannot argue, gentlemen, with his usage on the penalty kill. So tough to pull him out of the lineup right now.
Piece of that PK, man. Yeah.
That PK right now, when they're having success, he's there. When he hasn't been, even the last couple of games when he was sick and then when he was down, their PK struggled a little bit more.
May I suggest the Oilers' blue line is fine the way it is, and they put all their assets into getting Patrick Kane? We've talked full circle. Somebody on the Twitter chat, Shane Can America says, has Ken Holland not done his job because he has us all over the map on everything, which is kind of true. I mean, he's brought in a lot of good pieces, though, that has helped this team for sure. There's no doubt about that. All right. Quickly on this Oilers Penguins, and then we'll get to these ESPN Top 10 Centers list. Cass, what are you expecting today, man? It looks like people, like the odds makers over at Coolbet are expecting a high-scoring game between these two clubs. The total set at 7. You don't see a lot of 7s. It's kind of crazy. Is this a freewheeling affair tonight, do you think?
It strikes me as being one of those games where we've expected, and we've seen that, like, I go back to the lockout, like with Toronto, where it's like you expected it to be an absolute shootout, and then it ends up being like a kind of a tight checking game. So I'm wondering if we end up getting a little bit of that tighter check.
You're leaning the under.
Tonight.
You're leaning the under.
I probably would. Again, I don't bet. That's not me. That's not what I do. But
don't worry, I bet enough for both of us.
Less goals. Yeah, you can do it for me.
Gager, what do you think happens tonight, buddy? Skinner. It looks like Skinner was in the starters net today, right? So back to Skinner again. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I like it. I think just because he's been out for a bit. Jack Campbell hasn't been as good as he was before the break. It looked like he was getting a little bit tired after those 3 starts. So Skinner should be refreshed. And man, that was what a great save in the third.
Big save in the third. Yeah,
it was awesome. And then and getting the win. So a little bit of confidence that way. Yeah, I think if the playoffs began tomorrow, I'm Stu's my guy. So I think it was actually
You're my boy, Stu.
Yeah, I really think Woodcroft is leaning towards Stu. He's good, man. He's the first goal sucked, but
the first goal did suck.
It was terrible. But
he admitted it. He admitted it.
Yeah, he admitted it. So break off the rust, and it's going up. It's fun as a goalie to go up against the best too, and to go up against Crosby. That's a show of, the coach trusts me to go up against one of the greatest players ever to play. So cool.
ESPN released a list. They had 20 players and executives around the league give their top 10 centers in the National Hockey League. And then, of course, they tabulated the numbers. And this is the list that they got. Wyshynski wrote this article, tweeted out today. Here's the top 10 centers in the National Hockey League right now, according to players and executives. Only 20 of them, but still. Number 1, Connor McDavid got 20 first place votes out of 20 possible first place votes. Number 2, Austin Matthews. Number 3, Nathan McKinnon. Number 4, Sidney Crosby. 1 point ahead of Leon Draisaitl, who is number 5, followed by Barkov, Point, Hughes, Bergeron still, and Tage Thompson, who's having another excellent season. Gager, when you obviously McDavid's unanimous number 1. I mean, there's no debate. There's no discussion about it. Matthews, McKinnon, Crosby, Draisaitl, the next 4 in order. Anything jump off the page to you from that group, Gager?
Yeah, it's stupid to have Matthews there. It's Nathan McKinnon. If you watch the games when McKinnon went up against Connor, McKinnon was the better player and made a bigger difference in both those games. Like, he raised his level to the
How many times can we say that?
On.
Right? Like, how many players in the league are capable of doing that?
No, you don't see it very often. And he's a different player, but he's just a bull, right? And that sledgehammer shot, he's so hard to contain. He does the same types of things as Connor does, just in almost a more aggressive style, right? Like that. Just
is very different style.
Very different.
He's a run you overpower.
Yeah.
But has that speed to burn too. Not a McDavid, but faster than a lot of other guys in the league, right?
Well, and his shot separates him a little bit from McDavid on
that's true
on
too.
that side,
yeah.
Right? Like, he's being able to shoot that puck like that.
I would have thought McKinnon would have been at 2. I mean, we've seen him do it, right? So, yeah.
He's done it in the playoffs. He's a champion. It's crazy not to think that he's number 2.
I'm still not entirely sure why Matthews is even ahead of Draisaitl on this list, really. I mean, Draisaitl's statistically put up better numbers than this guy pretty much every single year. Has won all the awards that he's won. Cass, I don't even know if I should throw to you on this topic, but like I look at it, to me it would be McDavid, McKinnon, Draisaitl, Matthews, and then I'm not necessarily sure where Crosby should be. Like, is he 3? Is he 5? I'm totally fine to have the Crosby discussion as well, but I think it's a clear cut 2. And then how do you see those next 3?
Yeah. I think you could. I would have Matthews in front of Crosby right now. Like, okay. I have no problem with having Crosby in there. Let me pull up the list again here. I just want to make sure that I.
It was Draisaitl 5, Crosby 4, McKinnon
5,
3,
Crosby
Matthews
4,
2.
McKinnon 3. Yeah. No, and I'd probably like I'd have McDavid 1. I'd have McKinnon 2. I think it's a toss-up, and I will say this: for as much as I harp on Austin Matthews and the Toronto Maple Leafs, I think it is a toss-up at number 3 between Draisaitl and Matthews. And the reason I think you see Draisaitl drop down the list a little bit is mostly because of McDavid, where they're like, it's because he plays with McDavid. I think there's some, you probably have a couple people over that would have pulled that would drop Draisaitl down a little bit because of it. But I think Matthews deserves a spot in the top 5. I probably would have him number 3, probably Draisaitl 4. And then
Matthews has Marner to play with.
I'm just telling. I'm not saying that's. I'm saying that's why the votes ended up the way they did. I'm not saying that's not what I would do. So then I'd have So let me think. So Matthews or McDavid 1, McKinnon 2. Probably have Matthews 3. Probably Draisaitl 4. But then number 5, I'd probably have Barkov still in front of Crosby. Is what I'd do. I'd probably have Barkov and then
Barkov hasn't had a huge season, but he's still very good, right?
Yeah.
I just don't like. I honestly call it an anti-Toronto take, call it an Edmonton homer take, whatever. I mean, if Austin Matthews had more 50-goal seasons than Leon Draisaitl, which he doesn't, I think you could justify being higher. If Austin Matthews had more seasons than one with more than 80 points. He's got one season in his career with more than 80 points. Draisaitl has more than 80 points already this year and has 5 straight seasons with more than 85 points. Matthews has done it once. Will likely do it again this year. This year he's on pace for like 87 points. Draisaitl almost is at 87 points already.
Is this
the numbers outside of a 60-goal season by Austin Matthews? There is not a single statistic that would justify having him higher on this list than Leon Draisaitl. Go look it up. I mean, the numbers drastically favor Leon Draisaitl.
Cass, what would you, if you were starting the playoffs, like which besides the top 2 that we have, just McDavid and McKinnon, who's your number 1 guy that you would want to start the playoffs with?
Are those other guys? Barkov.
Or maybe he's not on that list.
Barkov.
Ooh.
I'm even thinking, if I'm going into a series,
I'm taking Barkov in a series.
That's close. If I couldn't get Barkov, I would even lean towards Kopitar. He's very difficult to play
ahead of all these guys not named McDavid and McKinnon.
Yeah,
like if it was just like the one guy.
If I still
might take Sid at that point. Really.
Yeah. So.
Interesting.
Yeah. That's where Sid would be close to me too on that. Still, playoff series wise.
Yeah. If you're starting the series right now, I think you could justify Sidney at 3.
Yeah, I think you could justify Sid at 3. I still may move Barkov there too. Like, I still McDavid 1, still McKinnon number 2, and I might slot Barkov in number 3 if I was starting a playoff series.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Either way, it's a list that got people going. So that's nice. Fun discussion there. Cass, I know you said you were busy. Gager, I know you were busy today too because F1 testing was going today. What did you think? And this is a Pit Stop Pals discussion, obviously. But what did you think of the Red Bull dimple? Or not the Ferrari dimple?
Well, I was watching it, and then I must have rewound it like 8 times, Dusty, when they started talking about it. Because I was like, oh, is that some sort of aerodynamic thing? And of course, no.
Yeah.
the things fall.
I thought it was like brilliant engineering. I was like, oh, this is changing the game. Like,
yeah, that's what you think. But I mean, I was doing some work last night. I turned it on at midnight, and I had a smile for like an hour till I passed out. It's back, baby. It's back.
You just had Pirellis. You're counting Pirellis to fall asleep like they're sheep.
Like, when do we start the actual pool? Because we probably should do a launch event.
Well, the email came out. Or Gager, didn't you send something out?
I'm on it, Dusty. I'm on it. The FIA.
I didn't get no email. It probably went to my junk.
The Twitter chat.
It's in the Twitter chat.
Well, the Twitter chat in there.
Yeah,
but I don't check my Twitter very often.
Well, that's where it is, Cass.
Are you committed to this F1 league or not, Cass? What's going on here?
You know what? I am, but I kind of take the idea of
there's no buts.
There's no buts. No, I separate. No. It's not a but. It's a strategy. It's not a but. It's a strategy. Is I separate myself from that group because I don't want to be influenced by by all the shenanigans and by all the trash talk. I'm like, no. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to separate myself from this. I'm going to do my own research. I'm going to do my own thinking. I'm going to join all the Discords and Twitches and all this from the people that try to basically price fix in the league, because there's people that try to do that. Like, they try intentionally to make prices of the players move in the fantasy league. And I'm following all of those just to make sure that I'm up to date with the black market. And you know what? I don't like you guys, so I don't want to read those messages.
Ouch.
Cass, F1 TV for first timers on a sale right now for $68 for the year. Just so you know.
I don't think I'm just good with I don't need the F1 TV. I'm good with the TSN's.
Oh no, you need the F1 TV. You need the F1 TV. It's it's amazing.
You know, don't worry about what they say in media, Cass. Like, it's funny when I check my Twitter feed after I'm on the Sportsnet panel. I even got the I didn't know if it was mean or just being funny, but he said, "Hey, Joaquin Gage, Botox?" ? So someone's got me. I guess what can I say? Dusty Black don't crack.
All right, boys. You have a good week. Gager, I got to know, are you on Sportsnet anytime soon?
Oh, no, I'm taking a break. I'm taking a break. We're done for a bit. I'm going back to Oilers Plus for the next little while.
There we go. Oh, get that leather back on. That'll be nice.
Get the leather back.
All right, Cass, you got to get a pregame show here today at 4:00, so we'll let you guys go.
Yeah, right at 4. Right at 4 too, so I can go to. Yeah. I got to go right at 4 so I can take the girls to gymnastics quick before the game starts. Busy
dad. I love it, boys. Yeah. Enjoy the weekend. We'll talk on Monday to kick off trade deadline week, which will be great. Talk to you then, guys. See you later.
Later.